All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Harakah HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of James Great Millstone, and a sincere Shalom to Yakim, bringing out this word, diligence, and in truth. And as you see, the article here is from End Time Headlines, and it reads, World Health Organization quietly coordinates large-scale SIM with 31 countries to prepare for the next L down, which is the next scale health lockdown, man. Just trying to be salty with it. That's all I can. Just trying to be salty with it through the spirit. But as you see, man, he is telling you, forewarning you for what's about to come. And ultimately, we've been telling you what's been happening or what's going to occur, hence the word prophesy, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai. As the scripture says in the book of Amos, and the Most High will do with nothing, but he revealeth his secrets unto his servants, the prophets, right? And as we know in the book of Revelation 19, it tells you that the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. So our job as men of the Lord is to stand upon that watch, that high tower, and prophesy of the evils to come. And that's all that's coming, man. There's no good that's going to come into this society, man. Shalom, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Haratakodash Braka. That's nothing good coming into this place. In the book of Ezekiel, it tells us, written within is lamentation, mourning, and woe. And we're at the stages where Yahweh Shema Shah is about to increase these woes upon the earth. And ultimately, these lower tier woes, so to speak, or these waves of woes will lead into the third woe, right? Which is the Third World War, ultimately ending in Babylon being destroyed. That's it, the scriptures. Okay, so I'm starting off this article. And right now, End Time Headlines has, they posted about 4 or 5 different articles. That's very heavy in prophecy, man. So Lord will be able to do another lesson, very soon. But as you see, it says the WHO quietly coordinates large-scale simulation with 31 countries to prepare for the next DIM. And we see this is just a repetition of what they did with the 19, man. They did the same type of simulation, large-scale simulation when the 19 or before the 19 hit, man, right? So E is just repeating the same steps, but this time is going to be far more drastic. Matter of fact, I want to grab this precept here. I'll start here at 2 Corinthians 2:11. And it reads, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Right? And let's go into this word devices. Right? The word devices here is Noema, G3540. And it reads, mental perception and evil purpose. Right? The devices of the mind or thoughts. And we understand Esau being the wicked. All his thoughts are ultimately to deceive, right? To covet and to destroy. Right? As the scripture tells us, the thief cometh not but for to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And that's Esau's MO, man. This is how he gets down. Right? If he's not destroying and if he's not robbing, if he's not shedding blood, and he don't feel at home, man. Right? So matter of fact, I want to grab this precept as well. Because with all these countries coming together, ultimately this is this. 83rd Psalms 83 at the top, it says, keep not thou silence, O Yahweh. Hold not thy peace and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. And ultimately, all these nations, right? All these nations, whether it be Edom, whether it be Elam, Ishmael, right? Cush, Put, right? Ham as a whole, we can go on, right? They all hate the fact that Yahweh Shema Shah has a chosen nation, right? They hate the fact that Yahweh Shema Shah put his prophets on the highways and hedges, and they hate the fact that we're ultimately exposing their plans, man. Even though they're putting them out there, they hate the fact that we're coming back together, as the scripture says in the book of Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, right? It says, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. It says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. And when we read this in the NLT, this side is the NLT, by the way, it says, they devise crafty schemes against your people. They conspire against your precious ones. And this is a conspiracy, right? Because when you break down that word conspiracy, it goes into the word conspire. Con meaning with, and spire, which is the root word of spire, meaning to breed together. And ultimately, them coming in conjunction together to come up with these plans to overthrow, the world, and to put it back into a realm of chaos. And that's their goal here. And ultimately, these are not the heads, right? These are just the puppets that the elite set up, to be in front of the faces of the people. So let's get into the article. It says Joe Kovacs reportedly for World Net Daily that the WHO in December quietly coordinated a large-scale international simulation exercise involving 31 countries and areas, officially framed by the WHO itself as getting ready for the next pandemic, as you see, man, right? And before Esau makes these moves, he always brings these countries together so everybody can get on the same page, man, right? Because what happened with the 19? Ultimately, it cut out the middle class, right? It gave billions of dollars into the monopolies, into the large-scale corporations, your Walmarts, your Targets, your Trader Joe's, right? Your Costco's, your Sam's Clubs, all these all these businesses, grew, right? They grew because guess what? The average person couldn't go into the mom and pop shop anymore. They couldn't go to their local grocery store, right? Where it may have been owned by or supplied by a few farmers and owned by, a uncle in that particular part of the land. No, they had to go to the big stores, man, because Esau said that they weren't essential, right? And what else did it do? It thinned down the population, and it also tricked another population. So it also tricked another population into what? Into receiving devices within their bodies, that they had no clue what's actually in it, right? So he destroyed a whole social class of people. He destroyed millions of lives, or took away millions of lives, and then he also tricked and confounded, the lives of others, right? So it was a Esau pulled a fast one, man, but not on the men of Yahweh Shai. He pulled it on the inhabitants of the world. Those same people that mocked and scoffed at us, talking about how we were crazy. Hey, these were the same individuals that trusted within his system, or trusted in that shadow of Egypt when he rolled this out, man. Right? So guess what they're gonna do again? They're gonna do the same shit because they're gonna trust in their government once again, right? Not understanding that the word government means to what? To govern, right? Or mind control, right? Control and govern are synonyms, and ment goes back into the word mental, right? Which means mind. It says the simulation known as IHR exercise crystal. Right now, I wanna let's see something. Let's go to the atom. What does this word crystal mean? See if it has any other significance. This is crystal. It's like it. Oh yeah, nah. I know it's probably a Edomite online that's breaking down, what the abbreviation or what these words mean. That's Satan, man. It's like it. I got to speak up a little more. But to get back into Psalms 83rd chapter, right? Verse 3 in the NLT says, they devise crafty schemes against your people. They conspire against your precious ones. Come, they say, let us wipe out Israel as a nation. We will destroy the very memory of its existence. Yes, this was their unanimous decision. And that's why they had these 31 countries come together, right? Because they're in unison, man. And unison means to be of one, right? Matter of fact, let's go to it. Unison. All right. It says unison. It says note having the same pitch or as another. It says interval. It says unison, accord of sound, right? Meaning we're on the same page, man, right? Harmonious agreement. And ultimately, it's a harmonious agreement of wickedness, right? Because all these nations are conspiring to bring forth that wickedness. So when we go back here in the book of Psalms 83, it says, come, they say, let us wipe out Israel as a nation. We will destroy the very memory of its existence. Also, remember, who did they market the JAB to, right? They didn't market it into Edomites and Moabites and Ammonites. No, they marketed it into 3 people, which are actually 1 people. And they said in order, verbatim, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. They told y'all to go and get jabbed up, man. And what did Jake do? They listened to the celebrities. They listened to all the different individuals that had some type of power. He put niggas like Juvenile up in the face of the news in different commercials and brought back the song Vax That Ass Up. And what did Jake do? They did exactly that, right? With no hesitancy, no fight. So watch when this time rolls around. Watch how much more willing Jake will be now, right? It says, yes, this was their unanimous decision. They signed a treaty as allies against you. These Edomites, and you see who they named it. Edom first, man. The number one enemy of the Israelites, man. These Edomites and Ishmaelites, Moabites, Hagrites, Gebalites, Ammonites, and chief house of Edom, Amalek, man, and people from Philistia and Tyre. Assyria has joined them too and is allied with the descendants of Lot. But it shows you these are the nations that came together in this article. Let's keep reading. It says the simulation known as it's like an IHR exercise crystal, was not a tabletop discussion, but an extended live play event designed to test real-time responses to a hypothetical novel respiratory illness with global spread. And was not the 19 that as well, a respiratory illness? This time, you see with the Nipah run around, they say it's a 75% fatality rate, man. That means 3 out of every 4 people is going to drop dead. That's what 75% fatality rate means. 3 out of every 4 people is going to drop dead. Right? So he's not taking his foot off the gas, man. Right? And ultimately, Yahweh Shemel Shai is going to allow him to do this. Why? Because this is just a time for the Lord to bring more hell upon the earth. Right? This Psalm 64 at the top. It says, hear my voice, O Yahweh, and my prayer. Preserve my life from the fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. From the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter, saying, it's like an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? Right? E moves in a way because really niggas aren't paying attention, man. Right? So when they lay these snares and they come upon Jake don't understand that the trap was already laid from the beginning, man. They just look at it as, oh, well, bad things always happen. No, these things are being conducted, by the left hand and by their minions, man. It says they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Right? And that's why the scripture also say they sleep not except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause something to fall. Matter of fact, I believe it's Psalms. Select it. Let me grab that. Is taken away. It is Proverbs 4. Matter of fact, I'm going to start here. Yeah. I'm going to start Proverbs 4 and 11. And it reads, I will teach you wisdom's ways and lead you in straight paths. And ultimately, by being guided by that wisdom, right, in that light, ultimately the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, guess what? Though we have to live through this madness, the end that the elect receive versus the end that the 2/3 receive are very different, man. Right? The elect will live and obtain salvation, while the 2/3 will live or die, right? And I mean live until the time of the missiles, or die before the missiles because a judgment is brought upon them, and then receive that thermonuclear destruction, right? So it says, I will teach you wisdom's ways and lead you in straight paths. And ultimately, the Lord is doing that with his men. It says, when you walk, you won't be held back. When you run, you won't stumble. Take hold of my instructions. This is the NLT, by the way, Salakia. Take hold of my instructions. Don't let them go. Guard them, for they are the key to life. Right? And the scripture tells you that a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. And ultimately, we understand that you can't run from this. You can't just go and fly into another country or think that you're going to escape the hells that Yahweh Shemel Shai is bringing. Ultimately, we hide within what? As the scriptures say, O Jacob, thou worm, fear not thy worm, Jacob, right? Well, as that worm, it digs into the earth, right? That's its protection. So in our position, when the scripture is telling us to what? To take hold of the instructions, don't let them go, guard them for their key of life. Hey, guess what? We do that by getting deeper within the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai, man. It says, don't do as the wicked do, and don't follow the path of evildoers. Because we're coming into a time, matter of fact, so like it. I'm gonna grab this in the book of Isaiah, 36th chapter. Because there's many ways that ultimately Yahweh Shema Shai can have Esau, move this place, so to speak. Right? We understand with another lockdown, he could then implement the MOTB, or he could implement another form of whatever it may be, right? But we also understand with a demic comes a quote unquote cure. And that's why the scripture tells us this in the book of Job 13. But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value. It says, as for you, you smear me with lies. As physicians, you are worthless quacks. Because here it is, you have the WHO, which is supposed to be the World Health Organization. Hey, but all they do is cause hell upon the earth, sicknesses. All they do is cause sicknesses upon the earth, man. Matter of fact, I'm going to get this word quack because it's not going into quack in the blue letter. So I'll get it in the online edit. Right? For an organization called the World Health, you would think that they would be coming up with ways to benefit life, for men, women, but also for the beast of the field, man. Right? Because he has the money, and the resources in order to make it to where everyone is healthy. He has the money to have clean water with its natural nutrients within it. The air to not be polluted, the food to actually be real. But no, this nigga wants something completely different. He wants what's adverse into that, which is ultimately death to reign, right? And that shows you how insatiable the elite's appetites are. Because here it is, these niggas are quadrillionaires, and yet all they know is violence, right? Because that's the nature of an Edomite, man, to only know violence, right? This Isaiah 36:6. It says, lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him, right? So let's break it down. It says, lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed. A staff is what? A support system. But the scripture says a broken reed, meaning what? It's a broken support system, or it's an illusion of support, right? It says on Egypt, it says, whereon if a man lean, right? So you trusting or confiding within what? Within a broken system, right? As the scriptures say, cursed be he that maketh, I'm going to just grab it. It says, maketh flesh his arm. Or cursed be he that trusteth in man and maketh flesh his arm. So like I'm grabbing it right now. This is Jeremiah 17. And I'm reading the NLT, Jeremiah 17:5. It says, this is what Yahweh says. Cursed are those who put their trust in mere humans, who rely on human strength and turn their hearts away from the Lord, man. And this is what Jake is going to do. They're going to trust and rely upon who? Esau, Edom. And ultimately turn their hearts, their minds away from what the Lord wants. And what is that going to do? That's going to cause Jake to get judged, man. That's going to cause Jake to receive that MOTB and ultimately be destroyed by Yahweh Shema Shai. Because what? They're trusting in the system. And they're trusting in the men who are creating the system. When has the government ever cared about you? When has Esau ever did anything to benefit you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans? Hey, does not the scripture say in Jeremiah as well? Hey, can the Ethiopian change his skin, nor the leopard his spots? Neither are those that are accustomed to do evil good. So it's his nature to be the devil, man. This is how he was created. Esau is the perfect devil. He's the perfect devil, man. So to go back to Isaiah 36:6, it says, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it, right? So that same support system that you confided in, you had trust on, right? You going unto them because you believe they have the way that's going to benefit you and your family, which ultimately is just a trick bag, as our apostle Gabar always goes into. It says, so is Pharaoh. It's like, so is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him. When you read that part in the NLT, it says, and I'll read the whole thing. It says, on Egypt, if you lean on Egypt, it will be like a reed that splinters beneath your weight and pierces your hand. Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, is completely unreliable. Completely unreliable, man. This devil's MO is to trick you. And that's why the scripture tells us in the book of Sirach 12, never to trust thine enemy. For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. A beautiful precept, bro. This brother I'm on here. He posted the precept Isaiah 31 and 1. And it reads, woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, right? Because when all hell breaks loose, guess what? That's what Jake is exactly going to do. They're going to go into Egypt, because Esau is going to basically put it in your commercials and put it on TV, all different forms of social media, that he has the ways to get society back in order, right? He has the way to give your life back to you, to make sure your children can attend college again, to make sure that you have that job that aids you in helping your family live with a roof over their head, right? We can get the food back into the fridge, the cars back in the garage. This nigga E is gonna come with all different types of smooth words in order to deceive the people, man. And Jake is gonna fall for it because they're gonna want their life back, and that's why it's so imperative. It's so it's out of necessity for us to lean upon Yahweh Shem Shai, not just when times get hard and rough, but always, man. Because guess what? These liberties, us not bowing down unto Esau, right, or the image of the beast and receiving his mark, he is gonna take away the liberties, right? Hey, yeah, it's convenient to drive for yourself. It's convenient to be able to go to the gym and go to the grocery store and buy your own food, right? All those things are quote unquote luxuries. Hey, but all those things are going to be stripped away. We seen what happened when the 19 came, right? When the 19 came, what happened? He said, hey, if you aren't jabbed up, if you don't have your mask on, if you're not 6 feet away, guess what? You can't enter into certain establishments, right? You can't go. If we catch you there, you're in trouble. So how much more now? How much more now, knowing that this time is far more serious? It says, woe unto them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots, right? And it's funny because it says, and stay on horses, because horses in the scriptures are representative of a place of power, man, right? It says, and trust in chariots because there are many, and horsemen because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, right? So you not seeking your power is going to cause you to what? Ultimately give in unto the devil. This is Isaiah 19:4, another precept by the brother Amon. It says, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, right? And we believe that cruel Lord is showing himself to be Donald Trump, man. It says, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, right? Because and it's beautiful because he's just the face, right? He's just the face of America, man. As the scriptures say, his look was more stout than his fellows. And well, Trump is exalting himself and showing that America is first. And him doing that is pushing what allies away, which is just another portion of prophecy that must come to pass, right? But even in that, right, how he speaks, the draconian way in which he, tells people off, right, or establishes laws. Guess what? When this next demic come, man, he gonna be talking big shit, man. He's gonna be talking big mess, right? And he's going to be labeling who? He's going to be labeling the American people, those who don't want to bow down. He's going to be labeling you as a homegrown tease, man, or domestic tease. Why? Because you're not bowing down to the system. So it's you causing everybody to get sick. You're causing the economy to be like this, right? And he's ultimately going to blame the men of Yahweh Shem Shai as well, right? We're going to be the biggest targets. But to get back into the point, I was going into that word quack, because I read Jeremiah 13:4. I was speaking about basically how the WHO, being the World Health Organization, they should be in a position, to get everyone's health on track. It shouldn't be any sicknesses. But you see Esau being the opposite, being adverse. The WHO is actually the ones that scheme or plot, the demics that go around the world. Right? Just for the word quack. It says quack. Nah, not this. Here we go. Medical charlatan, impudent and fraudulent pretender to medical skill. Just like that nigga Fauci, man. He's a quack. Right? He was a spokesperson of 19. Right? And what did Jake do? Jake believed every word that came out that devil mouth, man. To the point where he said, oh, well, a 6 feet away, actually keeps you safe. Well, why is it 6? Why isn't it 7? Why isn't it 8 feet? Right? We understand 6 is E's number, man. Right? Number of a man. 603 score 6, chi psi stigma. because that's ultimately what he wants to implement, right? This is just another way to shut the world down to usher in more order. So when we go back into the article, it says, while pandemic preparedness exercises are a recognized part of public health planning, the lack of broad public awareness and the use of language emphasizing the next global, and I'm going to just be salty with the word for now, and I said enough, has prompted intense discussion about global health strategy, sovereignty, and what future action might look like. It says the drill lasted weeks and involved operational responses, including real world systems like airports and border security. And with the nipple, they just basically said that, of course, it's starting in China again, right? He always blames the Chinese, right? With the bats, right? With the bats. I thought about what that nigga Trump said. He said, they're eating your dogs, right? But now it's with the bats. And that same planes or those same individuals who were in what do you call it, China. They said a few of those individuals went to India and other parts of the world, so they basically quarantined and shut those individuals up. Who left those destinations. It says governments were tasked with responding to alerts, verifying information, and coordinating across agencies in real time. And it's funny that they say this, right? Because this will all take less time if the implementation of the MOTB was established, right? Because it allows it allows information to be sent in a more streamlined fashion, man, right? Because hey, here it is. You have different insurance companies. You have different, government systems. Hey, but if they all were on the same system, to be able to control or respond and verify information would be extremely fast because they're all in unison. So this is what they're setting up. It says testing decision making under pressure. The WHO promoted the exercise on social media as a readiness drill for future health emergencies, which is just E's left hand of prophesying. It says these kind of simulations aim to identify gaps in international coordination long before an actual emerges. It says a practice many public health experts see as essential, right? But if they were so keen on locking down, the disease, and with the amount of time that they put into preventing it and setting up these safeguards, why is it that it always comes out to where the people get sick and the population dies? Because he's not in the business of saving. He is in the business of destroying, man. This is evident. So when we go back into the book of Psalms, the 64th chapter, I'm reading the NLT. It says, oh, Yahweh, listen to my complaint. Protect my life from my enemies' threats, right? Because they're saying it's a simulation, but really these are threats that they're sending towards the American people, and everybody across the world. Because the 19 shut down the world, man, right? It says, oh, Yahweh, listen to my complaint. Protect my life from my enemies' threats. Hide me from the plots of this evil mob, from this gang of wrongdoers, right? It says they sharpen their tongues like swords and aim their bitter words like arrows. They shoot from ambush at the innocent, attacking suddenly and fearlessly. They encourage each other to do evil and plan how to set their traps in secret. Who ever noticed, they ask? And that's exactly what this is. They plan their traps in secret. It says, as they plot their crimes, because that's what it is, they say, we have devised a perfect plan. Yes, the human heart and mind are cunning, right? So he is devising the perfect plan in order to usher in his new world order. Because as the scripture tells us in the book of Revelation 12, it says the devil, matter of fact, I'm going to grab it. I ain't going to quote it. Let's just get it. And that's one thing I want to get in the spirit of doing more, is just going to the precept, man. We know it because we can quote it. But when you read it straight from the source, it's more force. It's Revelation 12:12. And it reads, therefore rejoice ye heavens and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you having great wrath. Why? Because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So he is moving things in a much quicker fashion. Ultimately, it's like Yahweh Shema Shai is making E move in a faster way. Because E's time is running out, right? His time is running out, man. So it says these kind of simulations aim to identify gaps in international coordination long before an actual emerges. A practice many public health experts see as essential. The WHO itself emphasizes preparedness as part of its mandate, helping countries develop surveillance, response mechanisms, and collaborative frameworks that can save lives when outbreaks occur. And it's funny they mention those three things. Develop surveillance, which we understand surveillance has become tighter due to what? AI, due to what? The advancement of technology, right? It says response mechanisms. Well, even in that, matter of fact, I'm gonna go and chat and put in a prompt real quick. But even in that, right, of response mechanisms, we understand him using technology. For example, here in Vegas, you have drones, man, which are now being a part of the police force, right? So along with that surveillance, that response mechanism is the effect, right? The cause is whatever crime or what Esau deems to be as a crime, and it's going to be surveyed, right? The next step, instead of putting physical men out there that have emotions, right, and what's the word, empathy, right? He's going to send forth machines. Those response mechanisms are now going to be your machines, man. Robot dogs and robots and all different sorts of things. It says in collaborative frameworks, it says that can save lives when outbreaks occur, which we understand. He has no problem quarantining anybody, right? Because quarantine ultimately brings forth control, right? So, matter of fact, I want to do this. How has one second? How has technology increased to aid in all right, here we go. It says, how has technology increased to aid in surveillance, response mechanisms, and collaborative frameworks that can save lives when outbreaks occur? It says, big picture, tech has quietly rewired how fast we see outbreaks, how precisely we respond, and how well countries coordinate. And speed plus coordination are what save lives. Here's how that plays out in the real world. It says AI and big data scan, news reports, social media, airline data, and search trends to flag unusual illness patterns. And matter of fact, watch this. A call on Yabashim Shai. How does the movie Songbird play into this prompt? All right, I'm gonna come back up real quick just so I can read this off. So it says digital disease detection, AI plus big data scan news reports. It says example systems like Blue Dot and Health Map detected 19 signals before official start. It's like before official alerts. It says genomic surveillance. Rapid genome sequencing identifies new variants in days instead of months. Global databases like GISAID or GSAID or SAID. So like it allows scientists worldwide to upload and compare pathogen genomes in real time. Wearables and digital health signals. We know it's going to get what? It's going to get invasive, right? So it goes from a wearable to something that's now what? Within your skin, right? So we see the gradualism within this. It says response mechanisms, acting faster and more precisely, real-time dashboards, AI-driven modeling, digital contract tracing, smartphone-based exposure notification systems can alert people within hours instead of days. Faster alerts equals fewer secondary infections. And then here we go. Collaborative frameworks sharing information across borders, open science and rapid publishing. What you see right there, VACA and treatment protocols evolve faster because the global community iterates together. Public-private partnerships, government plus tech companies plus universities collaborate on, as you see it, bam, jab development. Can't even say this word. I'm gonna say instead of deoxyribonucleic acid, which is DNA. I don't know what the M stands for, but it's back M ribonucleic acid, right? Platforms. It says logistics, cold chain tracking via, I don't know what that, LOTI, manufacturing scale up, logistics and supply chains, robots disinfect hospitals. There we go. Automation and robotics. Robots disinfect hospitals, deliver supplies, and process samples, reducing human exposure. And what happens if somebody doesn't want to get, the jab? Will robots be able to go and grab them? Because we understand he wants to reduce human exposure. He wants to reduce man and give it back to machine. So I asked, how does the movie Songbird play into this prompt? Here's what you see. Songbird is basically a cautionary sci-fi remix of everything we just talked about, taking real outbreak tech and asking what happens if this goes unchecked. It doesn't invent new ideas so much as pushes existing ones to their extreme logical end. And we understand E is going to make this extreme, right? Because he wants full control. He wants full surveillance. He sees himself as a god. When we go into the book of Second Thessalonians, the second chapter, it speaks about what? That son of perdition, man, right? How he exalts himself above all that is called the Most High, right? How he sees himself as a God upon the earth. It says, but thou, let's grab it. All right, this Second Thessalonians 2 and 3, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, who? The son of perdition, Esau Edom. It says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he as a power sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is a God. Let's read it 4 in NLT. He will exalt himself and defy everything that people call the Most High, or every object of worship. He will even sit in the temple of the Most High, claiming himself, claiming that he himself is Yahweh, is the power, right? And this is what he wants to do. So let's get into it. Surveillance in Songbird, from public health to total monitoring. In the film, phones constantly scan users for biological markers using what? The Health Scan app. Infection status extract in real time and linked to identity, location, and movement. Drones and cameras enforce compliance, right? And did we not just read here that the WHO itself emphasizes, now I'm going to highlight it, the WHO itself emphasizes preparedness as part of its mandate, helping countries develop surveillance, response mechanisms, and collaborative frameworks that can save, quote unquote, which is really taking lives, right, the souls of men when outbreaks occur. So when we go back here, it says connection to real world tech. This mirrors digital contact tracing. It's like I'm going to read again. This mirrors digital contact tracing, wearables, and biometric health data. But in Songbirds, there's no meaningful consent, no expiration date, no transparency. So we understand in the real world, guess what? It's not going to be no meaningful consent, no expiration date, no transparency. This is how E is going to get down, man. He's not asking you this go around. He's not going to ask you to put a mask on. He's not going to ask you to get this new jab, man. No, he's going to tell you, or he's going to strip shit from you. It says what begins as outbreak surveillance can morph into permanent population monitoring. And that's what it is. That's what he wants. He wants a prison planet, right? He wants a prison planet, man. Continuing. Salakia. It says response mechanisms, efficiency over humanity. In the movie, once infected, people are forcibly removed to what? Q zones. And you see that word right there. It says decisions are automated and immediate. No appeals, no nuance. That means what? No resistance. No resistance. You resist, you're dead. That's how he's going to get down. Drones, AI, and militarized police handle enforcement, right? It says predictive models. This is the real world parallel. It says predictive models, automated triage systems, and emergency powers do exist today. During the 19, we saw emergency laws extended, military involvement in logistics, and algorithm-driven risk scoring. The escalation in the movie Songbird, response tech stopped being about saving lives and becomes about maintaining order at any cost. So all this was, the movie Songbird was ultimately what E wants to mimic physically upon the earth, right? What he wants to mimic in the natural world, so to speak, man. So here, going back to this, right? Them coordinating this large-scale simulation is them going to be ultimately them enacting a large-scale this word, right? So these 31 countries are just preparing for it, right? And they're only worried about who? Themselves. It's plain, man. It's so simple to see, right? Let's get back to it. It's like, because when we go back here to the book of Psalms, the 64th chapter, and read again, this is them doing this, Psalm 64 and 5. They encourage themselves. It's like they encourage each other to do evil and plan how to set their traps in secret. Who will ever notice? They ask. Hey, well, ultimately, hey, the light is shining upon the servants of Yahweh Shema Shai. So we're noticing. We're noticing it because the Lord is putting the spirit on us to notice it, man. Right? Here it is. You have 2/3 of the nation of Israel, hey, who ain't paying attention to nothing that's going on. Right? Niggas don't even know what the Nipah is, the Nipah virus is. Let alone that the WHO is organizing, simulations to affect the public. Niggas don't even know what the acronym HWO mean or WHO mean. Like, well, who is that? Yeah, who is that, man? Right? Not even understanding that. And I'll read this part. Ooh, yeah, I gotta keep going. It says the drill lasted weeks and involved operational responses, including real-world systems like airports and border security. Governments, right, mind control, were tasked with responding to alerts, verifying information, and coordinating across agencies in real time. Testing decisions, making under pressure, right? Testing decision making under pressure. The WHO promoted the exercise on social media as a readiness drill for future health emergencies. And those people that watched it and reposted it and liked it, they don't understand that. Guess what? It's coming to a city near you real soon. These kind of simulations aim to identify gaps in international coordination long before an actual occurs or emerges, a practice many public health experts see as essential. Well, this is the thing, right? If E really believed that simulation was essential, why is it that so many people are still going to die from this, right? Because they have the ways to prevent it. They're the ones creating it, right? It says the WHO itself emphasizes preparedness as part of its mandate, helping countries develop surveillance, response mechanisms, and collaborative frameworks that can save lives when outbreaks occur. As the world marks 6 years, there goes that number 6 again, man. Right? You can't make this up. As the world marks 6 years since the 19 first erupted, WHO has publicly asked whether the world is better prepared for new global threats. In a statement released just days before the WND article, the WHO acknowledged progress in strengthening preparedness, but cautioned that gains remain fragile and uneven, and more work is needed to keep populations safe. Basically saying, hey, though we're preparing for this, hey, there's no 100% guarantee that it won't still affect lives. That's all this sentence is saying. Though we're simulating this, that doesn't mean certain factors and caveats won't cause our simulations to or what we thought would occur in simulations to be bypassed in the real life world, man. Basically telling you, hey, guess what? There's no way for y'all to stop what's happening. We preparing for it, quote unquote. Hey, but we gonna allow this shit to go haywire. More lives need to be gone. Right? We need order. And for order to occur, chaos gotta ensue. Because that's how they get down, man. A beautiful pre, Revelation 6:4 from the brother I'm on again. It says, and there went out another horse that was red, right? And it says representative of Esau Edom. It says, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword, right? A great sword to take peace from the earth, right? And does not the scripture say in the book of Psalms, so like it's Psalms, the 17th chapter, and the third, I believe it's the third verse. Let's grab it. 1 second. It says, oh, here we go. 13. I said 3. Psalm 17:3, and it reads, arise, O Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Right? Going back into who? Esau Edom, causing all this hell. So when we go back into the chat, it says collaborative frameworks, power consolidation, not cooperation. In Songbird, government, tech companies, and private security merge into a single enforcement ecosystem, right? Data sharing isn't about science, it's about control. Corporations profit from immunity passes, movement permits, and surveillance tools. The real world echo, it's like, it says public-private partnerships can save lives. That main word right there, which we understand is going to gradually, lean off of this, and is going to go towards the MOTB. It says, but Songbird asks, what if collaboration serves profit and power instead of public good. This reflects concerns around tech monopolies controlling health data, hence why data is the new currency, why biometrics are being captured, right? Why these smart devices are becoming more normalized, right? It says emergency measures becoming normalized, crisis capitalism. And that's exactly how these billion-dollar companies became quadrillion-dollar companies, man. Crisis capitalism. They said the middle-aged families and mom and pop shops weren't essential, so they were ultimately bought out, right? And these larger corporations, monopolies, gained what revenue from the crisis? It says immunity passports and social stratification. One of the film's biggest themes, immune individuals can move freely. And ultimately, we understand that to be what those that got the CHIP, the MOTB, right? Or even before that, the VACCINE, right? It says everyone else is locked down, tracked, or disposable. Meaning, if you are against the system, you're disposable, right? That's why the scripture says this in the book of Revelation 13. So, I'm going to grab it. This is Revelation 13 and 15. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed, right? So those are the ones that will be considered disposable, right? And we understand, we are the ones, that won't bow down. If it be the Lord's will, man, right? Be faithful unto Yahweh Shema Shine to the end, right? And receive that crown of life. It says real life parallel, passports, test verification apps, and digital IDs. In reality, these were often temporary and debated, but Songbird shows the in-game fear, a permanent underclass defined by biological status. Does Songbird exaggerate? It says yes, but the answer is no, it doesn't, right? Because it says this movie isn't a prediction. It should say it's going to be a reality. That's what it should say. It says if we keep adding tech solutions without ethics, what breaks first? The answer in Songbird is civil liberties, trust, human dignity. It takes real technologies, AI surveillance, health data aggregation, emergency powers, public-private tech governance, and removes oversight, sunset clauses, democratic accountability. Why Songbird matters in this discussion? Songbird doesn't argue against outbreak technology. It argues against unbounded authority. And with Esau being the authority established upon the earth at this appointed time, guess what? It's going to enslave, right? It says technology can save lives or enslave societies. And Esau is going to move towards the enslaving. It says the difference isn't the tech, it's the rules governing it. Ultimately, it's the man in power. And it's the spirit. Look, tied into Revelation 13, Mark of the Beast interpretations. It's dystopian because, this is what's actually going to occur upon earth, right? It's going to be a dystopian society, man, right? And we're here to just warn you of it and to tell you to get right in the sides, in the eyes of Yahweh Shemel Shai, man, right? So that's pretty much the point, to go in on this article, see if it's any more. Here it is, yeah. It says enhancing information sharing among nations, stress testing systems that would be crucial in the early stages. Others raise questions about transparency, national sovereignty, and the extent of international authority in health emergencies, especially in a world where agreements such as the WHO agreement have been under scrutiny. Yep. But this is where we're at, man. This is where we're at. So watch as well as pray as the scriptures tell you, man. Because prophecy ain't slowing down for nobody. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto the body. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Harakah HaKodash. I double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS Great Millstone, and a sincere shalom to Yakim bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. Shalom.